Do you ever just wonder what spike you would pull out of an Inquisitor to remove their ATM burning ability? Or like what level of heightening, how many breaths do you need in order to achieve perfect pitch? Or one that hit me the other day, what misting would make the best forger when it comes to making soul stamps and things like that? These are important questions. So today we're going to be looking at the top 8 resources for where you find these answers. And yes, answers to all of those questions are out there, and a lot more, like a lot more. So if you've only just read all the Cosmere, or even just starting to read the Cosmere and you want to know more, it seems like there's a deeper, wider world out there in the Cosmere, I got you covered. All right, so now that I've piqued your interest in all this information that's out there about the Cosmere, and trust me, if you have not dove into this, you will be amazed at how much information is actually out there. It is mind-boggling. I've been diving into this stuff for years, and it still boggles my mind how much stuff is out there. So with that, let's get into it. The first place, and this is going to be pretty much your headquarters for anything Cosmere, is the 17th Shard. Now, the 17th Shard has a lot of things in it. It's got news, it's got a podcast, it's got a gallery, but the main resource that you're actually going to find on 17th Shard is the forums. And wow, do they have a lot of forums. And like, let's go down here to the actual Cosmere stuff. So Cosmere discussion, just people talking about 107,000 posts in that. If we want to be a little more specific and talk about just Stormlight Archive, 216,000 posts. All right, last update 3 hours ago. Like, this is huge and growing very fast. All right, I'm currently rereading Mistborn, so let's check that out. So we got in here, you know, the movie casting. That's just people guessing. There's been nothing official out yet as of this recording. Questions about hemalurgic spikes, 10 specifically, Chondra, safe copper mines. Like, how do you ensure the safety of your copper mine? That's an important thing in the Cosmere. Tons and tons of information here in the forums. You can get lost for days and days and days and days. And they do have spoiler sections and non-spoiler sections depending on what you've read, haven't read, so you can explore and be safe all at the same time. All right, now the next resource is one that I personally probably use the most. I'll try to blur anything out if anything pops up that's spoilery here, but this is the Copper Mine. This is related to the 17th Shard. It's all kind of connected, but this is basically the wiki of all wikis when it comes to the Cosmere and everything Cosmere related. So in here you can search for anything, literally anything. You can start off with, you know, one of the books and go from there. You can also, you know, there's got some different things on the side here. You can search for just about anything. Some of the things I pulled up looking at this video, the heightening. What heightening do you need to reach perfect pitch? Well, that's a second heightening, which is 200 breaths, just in case you were wondering. And I mean, the detail it goes into with all of these, and then has everything notated out as to where that information came from. It's just insanely detailed. Essence marks, you know, changing your past history with a soul stamp, basically. Well, what misting would make a good person to do that kind of thing? A gold misting, because they can see alternate versions of themselves, so they can get a sneak peek. You know, they can get they have a cheat code to see what another self would look like of them, that's a probable one, and then they could make that stamp. And I mean, all that's gone into here in just insanely. Did I mention it was in depth? It's very in depth. Now, something I do want to mention here is with this, they do warn you of all the spoilers going in, so that is good. You can also use the time machine to go back to whatever period you're at reading to match up so that you're not accidentally stumbling on something that's going to spoil the story for you. Also, real quick, this is terrifying, but it's there for our, reading enjoyment. Now, if you're like me, you have been on some either comment threads or something else like that where you see someone bring up some kind of small lore within Mistborn or within any of the Cosmere, and you're scratching your head thinking, I read all the books. I don't remember that being even briefly mentioned anywhere. Well, it took me a little while to figure this out when I was first reading through the Cosmere. There's this thing called Words of Brandon, and that's basically anything he has confirmed or said or elaborated on in person during a live stream, any kind of Q&A he's had with people talking about the Cosmere. So there's a lot of canon about the Cosmere that's not actually in any of the books. So where do you go to find that? You can't look it up in the books. Well, that's where you need to arcane them. This literally has, as far as I know, like all of the Q&As and live streams and everything that he has done talking about the Cosmere. So this is, again, all the information that you would get from having been everywhere he's been every time he's ever talked about anything to do with the Cosmere. So this, if you can't find it in the books, if it doesn't sound familiar to you, still worth a search here, because sometimes, he's confirmed something that wasn't actually stated in the books, and then you can use that to help piece together what the heck's going on, or what you think might be going on in the next book, or something like that. I've found this really, really, really helpful, because, you can go watch all those live streams and stuff like that, but my God, some of them, they're hours long, and you can't really search through a YouTube video very well. Not time efficient anyways. So if you need to find it quickly, you can go through here and search it much easier, much quicker. Now we get to Brandon Sanderson himself, his own website. And this is a good place for news updates mostly. The state of the Sanderson every year gives you kind of updates on what he's done in the past year, what books are planning to come out next year, those sort of things, whatever adaptation works or in the process of, anything he can share, he normally does on that. Any, like this, the pre-order of Alloy Law and Shadows of Self Leatherbound coming out, all that information you'll find right here on his direct website. And one thing I like that he does is gives progress bars for everything he's writing. And this madman is working on 4 books at the moment publicly. There's probably 5 or 6 more secret ones he's not telling us about. But you can see where he's at and what draft he's on of each book. And that's pretty amazing. I mean, for an author to go through that much effort to keep his readers updated as far as where he's at on his work progress, that's amazing. I wish more authors did that. Continuing on with the direct from Brandon kind of information, we have the Brandon Sanderson spoiler streams and his YouTube channel overall. So with his YouTube channel, like I said, not only does he have those really in-depth spoiler streams and Q&As, but he also has a weekly update that he does now, which is really nice, just kind of stay on top of everything that's coming out, especially now that he's hiring more writers and ramping things up. He also has the Intentionally Blake podcast, which generally has nothing to do with the Cosmere in it, but it is entertaining to watch. For spoiler streams and things, his YouTube channel is pretty good. Now, this little feature I only found a couple weeks ago, and I am really disappointed I didn't have this for when I was reading through Stormlight for the first time, because this is awesome. This is an interactive map of Roshar, and you can jump to different time periods in here, different events. I mean, this is absolutely crazy. And you can actually go into the settings here. You can look at it as Shadespar, which is pretty cool. You can zoom in and out. You can see the Silver Kingdoms, which I got another video coming out about that soon, hopefully. You can do book filters. So if you want to add on what happened in each book, you can see all the different timelines stacked up there. I mean, it's just, you can go by character and see what all the different characters are doing at different times. Like, this is the amount of effort that has gone into building this is just incredible, and it's such a cool resource. How many other fantasy series can you read that have an interactive resource this in-depth and this user-friendly? I don't know of any. If you do know of some, though, let me know, because that's the kind of stuff I like. Now, I'm not going to scroll around too much on the different things that happened there just for spoilers. I'm trying to keep this fairly spoiler free, but yeah, you can really dive deep into all this kind of stuff, and it is just so cool. Way better than just a plain old map, which I love maps to begin with, but this is extra map. Now, I'm sure most of you knew this resource was coming. This is probably one of the easiest to find. I don't know. It's Reddit. And yes, Reddit is actually a really good resource for Cosmere information. There's a ton of interesting questions getting asked in the Cosmere Reddit, and they're really pretty good about staying away from spoilers and things like that. And you know, they have most things blanked out, and you can click on them if you want to see the spoiler, if you don't, that kind of things. And it's not just a Cosmere in general Reddit. They have one of those. It's a great resource, but they also, if you want to get more specific, have a Brandon Sanderson Reddit. They have a Stormlight Reddit, Mistborn Reddit, and my personal favorite that I probably use more than any of these, Crim Posting Reddit. If you know, you know. All right, so I saved something really fun for the last one. This insane looking thing here is probably one of my favorite things on the internet, just in general. This thing is, for someone that loves Cosmere Connections and seeing how it's all intertwined and things like that, that's what this is. This is just Cosmere Connection stuff, and it's all interactive as well. You can have spoilers on or off. I have them off for you right now, but basically you can go through here and just see everything and how it's related. So if you zoom in here, you see all these intricate connections and dots. What these are doing is actually connecting different books to other different books. So there's a way that the Elantris connects to Emperor's Soul, and then you just hover over there. If I didn't have spoilers turned off, it would tell you how those two connect. And I mean, just look at all of these. All of these. This is incredible. This is amazing. I love this so much. But it's got everything broke down by book, by era, and then by planet, because this is the Cosmere we're talking about. You can also down here toggle on and off all the appearances of our different world hoppers that we may see in different places. So yeah, if you've read through all the Cosmere, you're not worried about spoilers, go check this out. This is fun to play with, and this just shows a lot of things that you wouldn't necessarily know to search for. But you know, if you've read Elantris, you know, you can just hover over Elantris and see what other books it's connected to. And like, how is Elantris connected to the Way of Kings? I have no idea. Let me hover over that line and read. It's so much fun. I lost a lot of time when I found this. A lot of time. Probably too much time. So if you've ever wondered on, you know, how do you become a Cosmere scholar, or attempt to be, or just nerd out for a while, or if you have a really specific hemalurgic spike question you need answered, hopefully some of these resources have helped you out and, you know, help you find your answers on that. Another good place to look, in the back of all the books, there's all this Arcanum stuff in there you can read on. Arcanum Unbound has a really big section on that. All that information is on these websites, all spread out and searchable, but if you just have the books, they're a great resource too. Don't stop when the story ends. Read a little further, you get more information. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please like, subscribe if you've enjoyed this, and I will see y'all on the next one.